Is your business struggling to stand out from the crowd online? At Webamax, we specialize in turning clicks into customers. From SEO and PPC to social media management and stunning web design, we've got you covered. Boost your online presence and drive real results. Ready to take your business to the next level? Visit Webamax.com. That's Webimax.com for a free digital analysis. Rule the web with Webamax.com.
With your Amex card, entertainment benefits like special ticket access and pre-sales to select can't-miss events while supplies last make every tap music to your ears.
Spring is here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around. A lot. To their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
And welcome back to a new episode of the Skating Penguin Network Mailbag, everyone. It is Robbie, joined by Snail, as always, out on the West Coast. It is Monday, June 10th, 2024. We are now into the Stanley Cup Final. The Florida Panthers take a 1-0 lead in that series. Game 2 is Monday night, so by the time you listen to this, that game will be in the books, and it will either be a 2-0 Florida lead or a 1-1 series heading back to Edmonton. But just a quick programming note. We mentioned it on last week's episode. Make sure you go listen to our interview with Just Do It Hockey founder, CJ Gamble. Great conversation with him. We're going to keep bothering you guys about that until you listen to it. So this won't be the last of it you hear from us, but go check it out. It's on the feed. It was recorded last week, so tune in, download it, give it a listen. Some really good information in there about a whole bunch of topics, hockey gear, the spread of hockey, especially in Asia, some Penguins that CJ has worked with in the past and is currently working with. A little bit of breaking news there for you to check out. But go give it a listen. Let us know what you think. We'll have CJ back on the program in the future, but other interviews as well. If we get a good response, we'll reach out to some others. But other than that,
did you see he teased the skates?
I did. Yeah. So if you've seen, you can follow him. You can follow his company, Just Do Hockey, on Instagram and see. And if you see the skates, you'll probably have a good inkling as to who they may be going to. If you're familiar at all with the design and the colors, but I'm not going to spoil that. Going to make you guys go listen to that if you haven't already. So go download it, listen, let us know.
Go listen. First interview as the Skating Penguin Network podcast. Formerly known as Pensburg. But this is the first interview I've ever done, and this is the first one Robbie and I obviously have done together for the podcast. So it's our first culmination project. I was also going to say, Robbie, I was actually talking with CJ. He helped me. I ordered a couple sticks from Hopa. I got the Origin stick, which is a super unique twig, and it's got that like wood. It's got a really weird it's got like a wood handle, but it's got a carbon core to it, and it's a beautiful stick. I ordered one of those, and then I ordered a nice street hockey stick to a little 2-piece action, and he was very helpful in the process of figuring out. I'm experimenting with some new specs, kind of taking a page out of his book, and I'm experimenting with a way whippier stick that is going to be cut to like the actual height that I need. Yeah, I always cut my own sticks a little bit and it changes the flex, but he helped me get dialed in. So I'll post a little review of him too. Maybe a little action of me going bar down or something coming up in the coming weeks once I get him.
All right, we'll have to check that out as well.
Well, let's get to some questions. Our loyal listeners, the Europeans really showing up for us lately, Robbie.
Big showing by the Europeans.
Big showing by the Euros. As much as we like to, we're Americans here, and we like to banter with our Euro followers, but it's all love. We really appreciate them showing up and showing out for us in the mailbags. And with that, let's go to our first question from Kim Larson. And Kim Larson asks you, Robbie, are you happy with the salary cap jumping up to 88 million, or should it have been higher?
So salary cap escalations are built into the CBA. It's nothing that can really be. It's not just like a number they pick out of a hat or anything like that. This is the first major salary cap escalation since COVID, so that is welcome not only for teams like the Penguins that usually play right against the cap, but a whole bunch of teams. It's a big relief to be able to add a little more salary, give yourself a little more wiggle room when it comes to signing players. So overall, happy with it just because, one, it shows the league's healthy. These escalations, it shows finally they've kind of pulled out of this post-COVID business world. There were some mini escalations afterwards, but for the most part, we had a flat cap for a while, which really it led to buyouts and some other issues that the teams had to navigate. So it's really good to have this significant bump in the salary cap. I believe next year it's going to be another slight increase. I don't know how the CBA is exactly worded, but I believe 2 years from now, which would be 2026, there's another significant increase into the somewhere in the 90 million figure. So it should have been higher. I mean, the higher it goes, the healthier the league is. So that is a great sign, but it has to be done in accordance with the negotiated CBA. So as much as we'd like to see it go higher, as long as it's within the rules and as long as it's going up in some form or fashion, it shows that the business is doing well and hockey's doing well at that level. So all positive signs there on that front with the cap shooting up to 88 million for next season. Another question from Kim here. How high do you rank Sid on the all-time forward list? Mario and Gretzky are top 2, but where do you list him in the top 10? And who else would you have on that list?
Okay, this is my favorite stuff to talk about. Just nerding out on players of the current and the past. This is the kind of stuff that helps me get to sleep at night. So this is a very welcome question, and I know Robbie's kind of in the same boat. We love debating over who's. We love debating these, especially with as Penguins fans. We've been so lucky to have so many great forwards. We know that there's the argument between Gretzky and Lemieux. Is Sidney Crosby a quote unquote Mount Rushmore player already? And Evgeny Malkin always for some reason getting snubbed as a top 100 player consistently a couple times in a row now, which is just a joke. So I'll kind of give off a quick rundown of my top 10, and this is kind of just shooting from the hip too. Like I don't have a plaque in my room that I stick to. It kind of changes with how I'm feeling as well. So at the top of the list, I'm gonna actually go with. So he says we're already counting Mario and Gretzky. I like Mario being number 1 just for controversy's sake. I think Mario would have absolutely waxed Gretzky's records had he been healthy, and I think Gretzky's even admitted that Mario is probably the best hockey player he's ever seen. So forward wise, we're going Mario, Gretzky. We're going see, this is where it already gets complicated because I'm going to put Sid third. Sid is third. The great one, the magnificent one, the next one. And then I'm going to go with Steve Yzerman, number 4. 5's got to be Gordie Howe. I mean, he's old.
Yeah.
I never saw him play, but he's Mr. Hockey. He played for like almost like half a century. So like, you got to put some respect on the name, and he was a hell of a hockey player. That's 5 right there. And then I'm going the Golden Brett. Or wait, no. Is Bobby Hull the Golden Brett?
Oh no, Brett Hall would be.
Brett Hull was the Golden Brett?
I don't know. Well, you're saying Brett. I mean, only one's named Brett.
Yeah, I don't know why I just got confused.
Okay.
So I'm going the Golden Brett Hull.
Okay.
At a number 6. And then I'm going, God, there's just so many great players from the past. Mario, Gretzky, Sid, Yzerman, Gordie, Brett Hull, Jerome McGinley.
Okay.
That's 7. God, there's so many. There's like Marcel Dion. There's I have a list pulled up right here. I mean, it's crazy the amount of people.
It's very difficult to make a list like that because I mean, there's just so many. And what is it strictly based on points and scoring? How do you factor in guys that are maybe better two-way players? It's a very difficult task to undertake. I mean, where do you put Ovechkin on this list? Where do you put?
Ovechkin's off my list. He's not even on my. He's not even sniffing top 10.
Okay.
I'm putting a Ginla above him, and then I'm going Connor McDavid, and then I'm going Patrick Kane, and then I'm going who's number 10, Robbie? Who's number 10? I am gonna go with Brian Trottier.
Wow, that's quite a top 10. I will say that. I can't believe you left. I mean, leaving Ovechkin off that list.
Ovechkin's not on my list. No.
I mean, I agree with most of it. Yzerman, I think, is definitely on that list. McDavid, I think, has already made his way onto that list. I would have to put Ovechkin in the top 10 just because. I mean, he's the second greatest goal scorer of all time. I would definitely firmly plant Crosby as number 2 or 3. But I will say, if he plays long enough and becomes the second player ever to hit 2,000 NHL points, I think you have to have a conversation about moving him to second.
Yeah.
All time. But Crosby, for me, is definitely planted there at 3. Again, you can make an argument for Howe, but a completely different era of hockey. It's so hard to compare those two. I think Sakic's in that top 10 as well.
Oh man, a Sakic,
an all-timer there. There's again, you could sit here again if you're going by era, you could do it simply by era. Your top 10, say, players before 1980 and after 1980. It's so difficult.
God, I didn't even think Joe Thornton. Like, I think Joe Thornton is personally one of my favorite hockey players of all time. But he's an amazing. He's one of the best players to never, as Tortorella said, Joe Thornton's the best player to never win a damn thing in this league.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he won some individual stuff.
Never
won a Stanley Cup, but he's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. So, I don't know about top 10 all time. That's maybe pushing a little bit, but Malkin has to be in this conversation. Just so much talent. It's just so hard. And the guys anymore are so skilled. I mean, by the time it's all said and done, Draisaitl's probably going to be in this conversation.
I thought about Draisaitl for a second already.
What are you putting Sasha Barkov in this conversation just because he's maybe one of the top 2 best all-around players in the NHL? It's so deep.
Pavel Bure,
Stamkos,
Datsuk,
Kucherov's going to end up with, multiple Art Rosses, maybe multiple Hart trophies, 2 Stanley Cups. Again, I like Crosby playing at 3rd. Whoever you put after that, from 4 to 10, I really don't know if there's technically a wrong answer.
So, what was different on your list? You have Ovechkin in there, and then you have that. Is that?
I didn't really make a list. I was just kind of naming some names.
Okay. Well, let us know your list, because this could be a conversation. We could have this conversation all summer until the season starts, because it's just even dependent on the day. You just never know who's going to slide into that top 10. So we'll move on, because this is something Robbie and I, we could argue about this for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Kim Larson asks you, Robbie, if McDavid does not win a Stanley Cup, will he then go down as one of the greatest players?
Yeah, Stanley Cups are team awards. I wish this conversation would change. I don't think you need to be considered an all-time great. You need to have a Stanley Cup. He's going to put up numbers by the time he retires that are absolutely mind-boggling for today's NHL. Obviously, there will always be he maybe can't be in the greatest of all-time conversation with guys like Gretzky, Lemieux, Crosby, but he's going to be an all-time great. He's well on pace to be in the Hall of Fame. He'll be an all-time great whether or not he wins a cup. Just getting Edmonton there, it does say something. I understand it. That's not the end goal. He still has a lot of time. I still think he does win a cup at some point, whether that's in Edmonton or not. I don't know. It could still be this year. We don't know. It's only one game into that series, so we don't know. But he'll still go down as an all-time great. I just don't know if he'll be in that GOAT conversation, whether that's fair or not because of some of the numbers he'll put up. But that's just the Stanley Cup has to be seen as a team award. One guy doesn't win it, one guy doesn't lose it. I definitely think he's in that conversation. Question number 4 here, switching over to Andreas Castle. This one is specifically for Snell, and he asked, do people in Seattle wear Arc'teryx gear? Arc'teryx gear. Andreas says it's his favorite brand of outdoor wear. The Adam LT hoodie is the best jacket ever.
So, Robbie, are you familiar with Arc'teryx?
No, that's why I didn't know how to pronounce it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it took me a while to learn how to pronounce it too. They're an outdoor a weather. God, I'm fumbling my words. They're an outdoor gear brand. Like they are that's why they're big in Seattle, is because we live in the Northwest, and Arc'teryx is good for, you can get snowboarding jackets, you can get mostly rain Gore-Tex protective gear, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And Arc'teryx is huge here. We have an Arc'teryx store downtown, which I'm sure isn't that uncommon. Maybe nationwide, probably pretty uncommon, but like,
we don't have one, yeah.
But if you live in like a bigger, God, that might be like a Pacific Northwest and maybe a European thing, because it's they're kind of I see a lot. I don't own any of it. It's way too expensive for me. I'm an REI guy.
Is it like an REI? Is it just a different REI?
It's like designer REI.
Oh wow! So
not designer. It's not like Gucci. Like it's not that fancy, but it's like REI.
Even like a higher grade than like the North Face.
Oh, way higher than the North Face.
Oh wow! Okay.
Way higher. Yeah, I don't really even know. Maybe Andreas could fill me in on what it is that makes it that much different, because. Yeah, I'm an REI member. Humble brag. I paid for you pay $30 and you become a member for life. So, I buy REI's store brand outdoor gear when I need it.
Holy moly!
Did you just look at a price of an Arc'teryx jacket?
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that's a whole paycheck for a jacket, but
wow.
Mm-hmm. Expensive stuff.
Light hoodie that I like something that I would wear is wow.
Yeah, super expensive.
I'll stick to my I thought North Face was expensive.
North Face is a good brand too.
Oh, I love North Face. My favorite jacket. My favorite jacket is a North Face.
Yeah, so that's what Arc'teryx is. It's expensive, it's nice, and it's very big in Seattle. Actually, it's so big in Seattle that they're not even like your typical. Like, for example, I have a friend that's in a hardcore band, a hardcore punk band, and the Arc'teryx in Seattle actually hosted a punk and hardcore show within their store after hours. So they're pretty big here, and they're very expensive. It's actually a very, not very punk ethos things to have a show in a store where none of the people going to this show could ever afford any of the stuff in there. But yeah, it's I'm curious, Robbie, did you look up the hoodie that he actually or not? Yeah, the Adam LT hoodie.
I did not. Let me look it up here real quick. I just literally clicked on jackets, and I just looked up jackets and the Adam. So I don't. Maybe that's a
Maybe European exclusive.
European, or it's just an older model that they replaced with something new. But it's not cheap. The line is not cheap. Let's put it like that.
No, I don't imagine. There's nothing cheap there. There's nothing cheap.
Literally, there's nothing.
Let's just say $100 gift card there will get you like an arm of a jacket.
Yeah, even their shoes are. Yeah, that's wow. But hey,
yeah,
I mean,
no, I see it all the time down here.
Wow, okay.
In the winter, especially in the rain, it's good weatherproof.
$30 for a pair of socks. That's pretty...
just a pair of socks.
Yeah, that's yeah, wow. Okay, hey man, if it keeps you warm and dry, it's worth. I mean, you can buy crappy stuff. Yeah, if you can buy crappy stuff that doesn't work, and if you take care of it and it does its job, it's worth that money then. Especially if you live in, I don't know exactly where in Germany Andreas lives, but Snail, I know up in Seattle, it can get miserable, rainy, especially in the winter.
Oh yeah,
so
40 days and 40 nights all the time.
Yeah, so if it does its job, it's plenty worth the price then.
I got $100 REI rain jacket, their own brand. It was 100 or maybe a little more than $100, and that thing has not failed me yet, and it's a few years old. So, but yeah, Arc'teryx is kind of like a statement too. When you see the little fossil dinosaur on there, you're just like, you already know. You're like, oh, okay, that guy's steezy, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, super expensive and big here in the Pacific Northwest. I'd be curious to know. I guess I never really thought about it, but I'm like, yeah, there's probably an Arc'teryx store in like just about every major city, but probably not. I guess if you don't have extreme weather
in Pittsburgh that I am aware of.
All right, we'll move on from the weather gear talk here, and another question coming from our pal Andreas, and he asked you, Robbie, with Jake not signing with the Canes, do you think the chance of his return has increased?
It didn't lower at all. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily increased. Again, I set the chances low to begin with. So I guess technically, if you take a team out of the running, then again, I don't think Carolina's in the running anymore, to be honest, because I don't even know if necessarily the Penguins are in the running, because I think Jake is going to the free agent market with the anticipation that he's going to make boogoo dollars. Like, we're talking major money. So I don't necessarily know if the Penguins are still in it, but I don't know if Carolina's in it anymore. So, I mean, technically, if you're taking a team out of the mix, if you consider the Penguins still in it, then the odds go up a little bit. I'm still not optimistic about it in any means, but I think that, I guess technically they did go up. The chances have increased. I just don't think it's anywhere near even 30% he comes back. I would put it under that, just because I think there's going to be a team out there that's going to pay him exactly what he wants, and in a situation where he can probably have a better chance of winning now than the Penguins. So, yeah, I think the chances have increased, but I still don't have them very high.
Dude, I hate the hope. I don't want to be hopeful for these kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a part of it you'd feel better if you just would have signed a long-term deal with the Hurricanes, because now we have to wait until July 1st to find out what happens. But, I mean, it's the hope that kills you.
You know what? This is a theory right here that I just came up with. The reason he sold Brian Rust his old house was because Dubas is about to sign over Bucco Bucks to him, and he's about to buy he's going to buy a mansion in the.
He's going to buy Pittsburgh. A whole block.
He's going to buy like a neighborhood within a golf course.
Yes, he's going to buy a golf course with just one house on it, and it's his.
It sucks because like he had such good chemistry with Sid, and like I know how many times have we said that? I hate hearing myself say that because I'm sick of hearing it. But man, if you have Bunting on a line with Gino, and you've got Gensel back on a line with Sid, I mean, come on, dude.
I know. I completely understand. And I mean, I hope that there's at least phone calls. It's just, I don't know. We'll find out.
I want to know. I want Jake to. I want something juicy to come out about Jake. It sucks because like a team like the Rangers is gonna like make a bunch of moves to clear up
Don't say
cap.
that.
He's gonna go to the New York Rangers and help them get over the hump next year, or like I don't know. There's teams that suck right now that are like we're just like a couple good players away from being like competitive. Steve Yzerman might be licking his chops looking at good old American boy Jake Gensel. Playing in Detroit with DeBrincat. Kane probably is re-signing. I don't know. It's painful to think about, but he's gone. Yeah. He's gone.
He is. All right. Sticking with Andreas here, we're getting some TV talk here. Snell, I know you watched it, but are you stoked for the second season of The House of Dragon? And which side are you on?
Oh yeah, I'm so hyped for it. It's coming up here in about like a week, and I'm Team Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra Targaryen all the way. Big Rhaenyra stan. I hate everyone that stands against her and has just weaseled their way into getting her crown and the Iron Throne taken away from her. I already know what's going to happen, like, because this is from a book, so it's the endings are out there, but she's a badass. I'm a huge fan of her. And King Daemon, formerly Prince Daemon Targaryen. It's going to be a bloodbath, and it's going to be an intense season, perfect for summertime. It's going to take us right to fall, and I'm just curious how far they can really take this Game of Thrones stuff, because I want more of it. I'm still rewatching for the third time the Game of Thrones, the whole series right now, from the what's the book called? A Story of Ice and Fire or something?
Yeah, like the original Game of Thrones. Yeah, George R.R. Martin.
Correct. I'm rewatching it for the third time. Then I'm gonna rewatch House of Dragons. It's relatively short, and then I'm gonna watch the second season in its entirety. But it's like, dude, I need more. I need more Game of Thrones.
Like, it's really hard to like put into words how good like the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones are.
Oh, it's all so good.
Like, I mean, and like, yeah, the ending sucked, and that's really disappointing. But again, yeah, that sucked, and it hurts. But like, you got 6 of the best seasons of television
of all time.
It's an all time, and I'm like, if you've never watched it, if anybody's listening and hasn't watched it, I'm not being like cliche here. Just go and watch it. Just like watch the first season. Just give the first season a shot. And if you're not hooked, that's fine. Whatever. It's just not your thing. It is.
You'll be a minority though.
Yes, you will be a huge minority. I actually might even respect you more if you just straight up like come on and just be like, I did not like it. That's fine. It's the best TV. It is so well done. It is acted and directed and written so well. It's just really unfortunate how it ended, but don't even worry about that. Just watch as much as you want. I'll even tell you when to stop. But I will recommend watching the whole show, and then on rewatches, maybe just watch the first 6 seasons.
Maybe watch the first 6 seasons or whatever. But
it is so good. Please watch it.
And like, you have to understand, like, George R.R. Martin wrote this. He's a cutthroat. He wrote this whole thing. Like, there's some uncomfortable things that happen in this show.
Oh yeah. Like, it's not for
the faint of heart.
It's not there's some great moments and some uplifting moments, but it's not a feel good. In the end, it overall is not a feel good show. You're not going to walk out of that feeling. There's some episodes where you walk out feeling satisfied and happy. Most of the time, you're going to feel like, I need a shower.
Yeah, you're gonna need there's some episodes where it's disgusting. You're like, Jesus, that's very graphic.
I'll give you 2 words. Red Wedding.
Oh, totally.
It's the best. It might be one of the best episodes of TV I ever watched.
It is. It's one of the most heartbreaking and tragic though too. It really leaves you feeling a lot of different types of ways. Very uncomfortable. In the first season, I mean, just the things that transpire in like the first like few episodes are just like, oh God, dude, there's, it's brothers and sisters and it's,
if you are uncomfortable with just incest and anything taboo like that,
which most people, it's taboo for a reason.
Taboo for a reason.
But it is out in the open.
It's all fiction.
It's all fiction, and that's how things were back then.
There are dogs.
There are dogs.
Helps. Please watch.
It's tragedy and heartbreak around every corner. But yeah, some episodes, like Robbie said, you'll want to run through a wall. Like,
dude, there's some moments that are just absolutely like
empowering.
Yes, I'm not gonna. Again, a lot of people seen it, so we wouldn't be spoiling it too much. But if you haven't, please go watch it.
Can you even call it spoiling when it's been like a decade since they finished?
Really.
No, it's only been like 5 years or something since they finished that.
Yeah, it ended before COVID, so yeah.
It's a tremendous. But Robbie, you got to start watching the House of Dragons because it's good TV and it's already all out there. So it's on HBO. God, we deserve something for pumping up this show. We should make a podcast about Game of Thrones.
Oh God, I'd have to rewatch it first just to make sure. There's stuff that you probably forgot about that you definitely need to read. And again, there's never a bad time to rewatch Game of Thrones.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and suggest this, Andreas, and any other listener out there. Once House of Dragons season 2 is popping off, don't hesitate to throw House of Dragon questions into the mailbag because we can discuss House of Dragons and Game of Thrones just as well as we could probably talk about any Penguin stuff. So
it's one of the few television shows that I'd be willing to like expound on. Like again, I like a lot of shows. I don't know if you've ever watched like Peaky Blinders or anything like that.
Nope.
Great show. But like Game of Thrones, I just feel like there's so much depth that you could talk. I mean, there were like full on podcast universe about Game of about Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah,
like,
trust me, I'm into the. I have a whole thing on TikTok of fan theories about certain things, and that cuts deep, man.
Yeah, that fan theories. Again, some are obviously off the wall, but some make you actually think like, okay, that's actually a legitimate point.
The one that I'm tripping on recently is that Daenerys Targaryen. I don't care if I'm spoiling anything because it's already out there. So
yeah, and
Daenerys,
this is a theory.
So. Daenerys Targaryen, when she died, was carried off by her dragon, and she was brought to the one of those red witches that was helping Stannis, and she's revived by her, and she becomes the new Ice King. And she's got she revives the dead army. It's like there was this whole TikTok I watched about how this is totally possible based on R.R. Martin's.
We need another book and we need more seasons.
Someone pay him a hefty salary to just get it done.
Yes.
All right, we got to stop talking about this because pretty soon it's going to get out of hand. So
we'll be a Game of Thrones podcast.
Yeah. But quickly, before one more thing, Robbie.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Game of Thrones character?
Wow, that's a heavy question.
But it's got to be known. We got to know.
Oh, man.
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
Want to be more active this summer? Sierra helps you save on everything from swimsuits to stand-up paddleboards, tennis rackets to fishing tackle. And if that doesn't float your boat, we also have pool floats. Sierra, let's get moving. To your local store, like now. Go!
Whether you're making a delicious family meal or a post-workout snack, choose the farm-fresh taste of Eggland's Best Eggs. Only Eggland's best hens are fed their proprietary all-vegetarian feed. That's what makes their eggs more nutritious. With 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, and 6 times more vitamin D compared to ordinary eggs. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs. Visit egglandsbest.com to learn more.
True comfort can't be faked. Neither can our strawberries. Fall in love with new Haagen-Dazs New York Strawberry Cheesecake. That's Dazs. Available at retailers nationwide.
Like, I feel like there's people, like, you give, like, an obvious answer and it's stupid, but
Totally.
Just because the way that her character developed throughout the show, again, this is a question you could ask me tomorrow and I have a different answer, but as of right now, I'm going to put Sansa.
Sansa's cool. Yeah, she turns into a complete badass.
She just, yeah. Yeah, that is... Probably, again, it could change tomorrow. It could be Jon Snow tomorrow. I don't know. It could change many different times. But
I feel like Jon Snow is one of the answers that people give, but it's like,
yeah.
You didn't like Jon Snow as much as you did towards the end in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, in the beginning, Jon Snow is admirable and cool, but like at the end, you're like, I would run through a wall for Jon Snow. For me, someone that's consistent the whole series that I love listening to is Tyrion. I love Tyrion.
Yeah, and Peter Dinklage plays that character to absolute perfection.
Dude, amazing.
Amazing character. There's so many even like non headlining characters that are so good.
Littlefinger.
Yeah, like he's a complete scumbag.
He is.
But the way he played that character is absolutely phenomenal.
I know. I always pay attention when he starts talking.
And the way that his story ends is just, it's unbelievable.
Unbelievable stuff. Yeah. All right, we're moving on.
Anyway, yeah, let's go to another question.
Kim Larson asks you, Robbie, who will win the football Euros? Are you going to watch it? And he says, let's go. I think that's the Denmark flag.
That's the Danish flag. Yes.
The Danish flag.
I'm going to watch it. Snail, I know you're not a soccer fan. I'm definitely going to watch it. Kim, I'm not going. I don't want to disappoint you, but I think France is my pick to win it. Not who I'm cheering for, but France is my pick to win it. I think they're the best team. But I definitely would not be against a Danish run deep. They're a fun nation. But I know you guys are pretty psyched for it out there. I hope you guys have a good time. Be safe. Enjoy some beers for Snail and I, even though Snail is not a football enjoyer. Enjoy some whatever actually, Kim, what's the good Danish beer? Let us know.
What's a good Danish? What are you drinking out in Denmark?
What do you guys like? What is your Budweiser?
Do you drink liquor?
They could. What do you guys drink? What is your beverage of choice? Let us know, and maybe Snail and I will see if we can find something, give it a try. What is your Budweiser? What is your go-to cocktail? What is your liquor? Whatever you guys drink, let us know.
Denmark? Is that Scandinavian?
Technically, yeah.
Technically, it is.
Yes, it is part of Scandinavia. Yes,
because the Scandinavian folks, they like themselves. They like to drink. I think not as much as they used to, but like Europe. I think they're European. I mean, they like to. Don't they also like to pickle things? Like,
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Or am I thinking of someone else?
I think they like cheese.
A lot of places like cheese.
That's true. I like cheese. So,
what's the place where they bury the fish for a really long time?
Sir Strumming. It's Norway or Iceland. But I've seen. Have you ever seen videos of people trying to eat it?
Yes, I have.
And it's just like the most it's just like they just convulse and just start vomiting. It's pretty wild because they said it's literally one of the saltiest things you can possibly eat. That's why it's just so salty.
I mean, I love salt, but seeing their reactions, I'm like, how salty is that?
Yeah. All right, sticking with Kim here for Snail. Snail, at this point, we know the Panthers are up 1-0. So what percentage are you putting on a Panthers Stanley Cup?
I mean, as much as I kind of was hoping that the Oilers would, I think my heart was kind of like, let's give it to Canada. It's not looking good for the Oilers. I think that, and I don't want to beat a dead horse and say what's been said already so much based on just one single game. But I think that like Florida, they didn't even play their best game and they absolutely waxed Edmonton, and Edmonton played super good and they could not get a goal past Bobrovsky. And Bobrovsky looks like he is just locked in, and so with all that, I'm given like it's 89% right now, Panthers.
Wow. I mean, yeah, again, like you said, if the Panthers come out and play their best game, and Bobrovsky even plays at 75 of what we saw, 75% of what we saw in game one, man, it's going to be tough for Edmonton. Not that they can't, not that it's far from over. Obviously, they could come out in game two and completely flip the series on its head. You never know. But Bobrovsky was just in his bag on what was that, Saturday night. Just the save he made on Nugent Hopkins. I just feel like at that point, if you're an Oiler, you just kind of like pack it in. Let's just get the bottom six some shifts, save our energy for game two. Because it felt like at that point they weren't scoring. That was a ridiculous save. And if he's playing like that again, he hasn't even played his best this playoffs. If he turns into 2023, Bob, and that forecheck gets going, I'd say 5 games. They could wrap this up, but I would put it more at like 65%, just because a lot of people were talking about how good Edmonton played, but man, if Florida plays their best the rest of the way, it's going to be really tough.
I just think that, and not to say Florida hasn't had I mean, they've lost games. It's not like they're undefeated. You know what I mean? Like they have their chinks in their armor, but where's been the big story? Like who's really detrimental to that team right now? I feel like even their worst players are more strong points for them than detriments, where Edmonton has superstars, but like, I mean, they've been taking a beating, but that Cody Ceci, former Penguin, and Darnell Nurse pairing, they've been a story all playoffs that they've just not been good in their own end. Darnell Nurse has taken a lot of flack, but it's because he's not playing like that. It's not, and I'm not even talking about his contract right now, because that's a whole different, it's just his play in general as a defenseman and a leader on that team has just not been, it's not up to par, and it's been a detriment to their team. So Edmonton has more warts than Florida does. And with that, it just makes me think that McDavid's gone God mode and Draisaitl's gone God mode so many times. Skinner's stood on his head. He's lost his job and got it back. It's just, this team has a lot of scars from this playoff run so far. It just, I don't know. I just don't see, you can tell Florida's been there before too.
You can tell Florida wants it. Badly.
Big time.
They have that look of, okay, we got a taste last year, we want to take the full bite this year. They just look like, and they have all season. That's going back to October. They just look like a team that was, okay, all we got to do is qualify. That's the first part. Once we're in, we don't care about the President's Trophy. We don't care about, because they weren't afraid of anybody. They didn't fear Tampa. They didn't fear Boston. They definitely didn't fear New York. If they don't fear any of those 3 teams, they aren't fearing Edmonton. They know defensively they can match up with Edmonton. I just think that if the best team truly wins, it'll be Florida skating around the cup.
It will. You're just noticing like the little buy-in, like Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett. They're laying the body, but only when it's like practical. You know what I mean?
They know how to preserve themselves.
Whereas last year, I mean, Matthew Tkachuk was rendered useless in the Stanley Cup final because he was so hurt.
Yeah.
It's just, and you're seeing, I think it's Florida's to lose. I think we said that even before game 1 even happened, but what'd you say, 65 for you?
Yeah, just because, I mean, you just don't, it's just too early. Like, again, Edmonton could flip it on its head, but if Florida wins game 2, then I'll join you up in the 85% range.
Yeah, I think the only thing at this point that would really sway the percentages is if Bobrovsky either forgets how to play hockey or gets hurt.
Yeah, or they would lose, like a Barkov would be out for the series or something like that. Barkov might be their most important player, not named Bobrovsky. So
exactly.
Yeah.
But they're up 1 game. They've got to win 3 more games. Edmonton still got to win 4.
Yep.
And it's Florida is primed and ready. I think they smell blood.
Yep.
All right. Question from Andreas again. He's following up from last week. Well, he says when he visited America for the first time, he had the notion how Americans would be. In California, he had the impression that they are Californians first and Americans second. By the way, the trip took place over 3 weeks.
Yeah. So going back to last week's mailbag, we asked Andreas. He went on that insane trip from like San Diego or San Francisco all the way up into Banff, Vancouver, and ended up back in Reno, I think, of all places. But One secret, Andreas, you said that in California, I had the impression they are Californians first and Americans second. That's literally any state in the country. People in Kansas are Kansas first, United States second, no matter what kind of show they put on.
And more extreme in Texas. Ask a Texan.
Dude, I was in Texas 2 years ago, and nobody loves Texas more than Texans.
God.
It's a different level in Texas. If you ever go, it's really hard to explain without you physically being able to see it.
I mean, they literally talk about seriously wanting to secede from the United States and be their own country.
That and the everything's bigger in Texas mantra. They have everything there has the Texas flag on it, whether it is a baby onesie or a hoodie from like the Alamo.
The Texas flag has a Texas flag on it.
Yes, yeah, literally, yeah. Texas is like that. Florida, there's too many transplants to say that. And Californians, if you're a born and bred Californian, dude, they will defend California. I have no doubt about that. I definitely agree with that sentiment. I can see that sentiment. Pennsylvanians are like that though.
Not the same here. I can't say that. Washington has we've just been bought and sold. We've just since the early 90s or late 80s with tech boom, so many implants, a lot of people coming in, pricing out the locals. It's happened over and over again throughout history up here. Yeah. And then I'm a Pacific Northwest guy, which is more of a region thing because honestly, I detest about 80% of Washington. I like the sliver that I'm in, the coast right there. That is separated by the Cascade Mountains. But the rest of our state, I absolutely detest. So,
are you a Seattle fan?
I'm really hurt by my Seattle teams. There's a lot.
No, I mean, are you just like a fan of the city of like? Do you like Seattle, the city?
That's another tough one because growing up, I loved Seattle. I loved going downtown. Now it's just a dump. It's a dump. They've just ruined our city here. I don't want to get too into it, but right now it's like I don't enjoy downtown Seattle. That's where the attractions are. That's where the fun stuff still happens. But they've just ruined our city in a lot of ways here over time. It's unrecognizable from what it used to be. That's all I'll say. But yeah, I envy Texans and the Keystone State fellas and the Californians where they're just like, I love every little square inch of this place that I call home, and we should be our own country. I love that. Not the case up here.
Pennsylvania has hemorrhaged population over the years because we were a steel state. They all left, and a lot of people left when their parents left. They ended up being born in wherever their parents moved to. So that's why you see so many Pittsburgh fans at away arenas. It's not because they got on a plane and traveled there from Pittsburgh. It's because their parents moved there or they moved there after college, especially a lot of Gen Xers, Arizona, Denver, even up in Seattle. That's why you see so many at the California games. At Carolina, especially. Carolina's a huge one down in Florida. That's why you see so many Pittsburgh fans at these sporting events because they all left, but they still love their Pittsburgh area, Philly as well. It's not necessarily just Pittsburgh, but they still love where they're from. It's just jobs and life took them away, unfortunately. So,
well, like my grandfather, I mean, he joined the Navy, and that's how he met my grandmother when he was docked in Seattle in Ballard. You know what I mean? The Ballard docks. He met my grandmother. They kept in touch, and then down the line, I'm here, and it's the Pittsburgh. A lot of stuff from Pittsburgh and Philadelphia growing up. A lot of when they'd go, the old saying back east. They'd go back east to visit, get a lot of Philly Flyers, not Flyer stuff. Philadelphia Phillies, some Flyer stuff, Steelers stuff. It's just they travel well because I guess that when they leave they a lot of Pennsylvania pride out there, and that's awesome.
Yep.
All right. Let's see.
Oh yeah, okay. So this is from Tony Gale. He got in this week. When traveling, most people go to popular destinations. However, if you're ever in the UK, I'd recommend a week in Cornwall, full of history and culture. And then he said, where would you recommend in the United States? Obvious answers not allowed.
Obvious answers not allowed. We've talked about a lot of obvious answers on here as far as bucket list stuff. So Cornwall, I'm going to just let me clack away here. What does Cornwall have to offer here? Let's see. Cornwall is a county on England's rugged southwestern tip. It forms a peninsula encompassing wild moorland and hundreds of sandy beaches, culminating at the promontory Land's End. That sounds like something from Game of Thrones. The south coast, dubbed the Cornish Riviera, is home to picturesque harbor villages such as Fowey and Falmouth. Again, Game of Thrones names. The north coast is lined with towering cliffs and seaside resorts like Newquay, known for surfing. I didn't know you could surf in the UK. I guess there's a lot of ocean out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's surrounded by water, so I'm sure there's at least 1 or 2 surfing spots.
So this photo of Cornwall that I'm looking at here on Wikipedia, that's Westeros. That is King's Landing.
It was filmed in parts of England, and I mean, King's Landing is actually Croatia. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That place looks awesome, man. I love. It's just the old castles and stuff. Like, I don't know what else you call it. Just the old. It's from a different era, man. It's so cool. There's nothing like that. I mean, even if I were to go to the East Coast and go through Robbie's neighborhood, I'd be like, wow, that's a bygone era. We're so new out here in the Pacific Northwest. Super cool.
Yeah. And then you go over to Europe and it's like everything's like centuries older than anything we have here. So, yeah.
So cool. I love that kind of stuff. Going back in time. Let's see some. Where would you recommend in the U.S. that is not an obvious answer? That's an interesting one.
The Maine coastline.
The Maine coast? Oh, like in Maine, the state.
Maine, the state. If you're in New England during the fall, if you want to see great fall leaves, just travel anywhere if you're there. So that's a little less known rather than not a go-to destination.
Let's see. There is I only know where I've been, and where I've been, there's some sneaky cool places just about everywhere. I'm trying to think, like, without
Portland.
being super. I was gonna say Portland, but I'm like, is that a cool
I don't
place?
know. I don't really call that, like, to me, that's not a destination city. I again, no offense to Portland, but that doesn't seem
I'll offend Portland. I lived there for a little bit. Portland
like Seattle's Philadelphia.
Yeah, kinda. It actually kind of is. That's kind of a good analogy for it. It's Seattle, but like it's their like grittier like cousin.
Okay.
It's just there's a lot more character in Portland, but with that there's a lot more shitty stuff about Portland that just, I don't know. It's it's okay, let me think here. No, for real. God, there's been some sneaky places that I've been that I'd recommend. I think we talked about it a little bit, but someplace that is just so beautiful and amazing is the Redwoods.
Oh, okay, that's a good one because there's a lot of great parks out that way, but that's one that people could overlook. The Redwoods is a good recommendation too. Absolutely.
The Redwoods, like the first time I went there and I saw a tree that literally was like, it's a prehistoric tree. Like those trees is like, you've never seen anything like it. We drove our car through the tunnel that you drive through a tree literally. Yeah. It's beautiful. You kind of get a look at like, this is probably what things looked like before people settled here. Like this is just,
I could see that.
It's what trees probably should look like, but we've cut them all down so many times. The Redwoods is a cool place. Portland is interesting. I think that like, I'm curious if the European mind could comprehend Portland. I just don't know.
Somebody go to Portland and let us know what the European equivalent of Portland is, if there is one.
Yeah, if there is one. God, there's in Washington. I mean, there's a really sad example. Like in Washington, we think it's so kitschy and cool, but like a European would probably be like, what the hell is this? It's Leavenworth, Washington, where it's literally a Bavarian themed town in the mountains here. And it looks Bavarian, but there's no krauts. Is that what you call them?
There's no German food.
There's no German food. Like krauts. Isn't that what you call a German person?
Yeah. So it's a German town with no Germans.
No, it's full of people who are snowboarders who work at the pass that live in little houses in the summertime until it's time to go work back at the pass.
Okay, I understand.
It's a lot of like recreational type folk that live up there, water rafting, that kind of stuff. But it's an interesting little town. I would never recommend you go to that place. Actually, don't go there.
Let's send Andreas there so they can have at least one German.
Yeah, he would be the sole German in a Bavarian themed town.
He shows up speaking German. They all look at him like he has 4 heads.
Exactly. They'd be like, "Who the hell are you, and why are you in our town?" And it's like, you know what's a cool place out here for real though? The San Juan Islands in Friday Harbor. It's the true Pacific coast. It's the Northwest. It's the true evergreen, lush, beautiful Northwest. Just in an island in the Pacific Ocean. It's beautiful.
What's your take on Crater Lake?
I don't even know what Crater Lake is.
Oh, it's out in Oregon. I thought maybe you'd been there before.
Is Crater Lake is that in Southern Oregon? Is that
might be. It's in the woods.
So Crater Lake, I've seen the signs for it. I think now that you're talking about it,
okay.
It's cool. There's a place in Oregon too called Jump Off Joe. I found like an arrowhead in the water. There's all this it's a crazy river that runs down all these like really shallow like ponds. It's a beautiful place to go. And for some reason there's a ton of like artifacts in the water there.
Okay.
Like I saw someone found like a old handgun of some sort.
Oh jeez.
This has to be from back in cowboys and Indians type times. Spears, arrowheads. That's where I found an arrowhead in the water. Jump Off Joe, San Juan Islands, maybe Portland, the Redwoods for sure. That's all I got for you. I'm sorry. Do you have anywhere else you want to add to that list?
Find a quiet beach and spend like a weekend there just to kind of get the vibe of like a small coastal town. Don't go to like an Ocean City or Virginia Beach. Go to again, they're not any of them know people, but go to like a small community beach on the Atlantic or Pacific coast.
Get a lobster roll.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you do in Maine.
Have you had a lobster roll?
Yeah, I love seafood. Just enjoy the coast because it's beautiful. The beaches are beautiful. The people are nice. It's just a quiet experience. Just something to get away from the crowd and stuff like that.
And I think something that in the U.S., I know the Pacific has its kind of vibe. The East Coast is like the quintessential, really attractive coastal town vibe, but we all got beaches both here and in Europe. But the vibes, I don't know, the architecture, the type of housing is so different than Europe. It has its own kind of thing. People live for it and love it. Check it out if you can. All right. Kim asks you, Bobby, have you ever seen Billions? Bobby rules.
So I've never seen Billions. I've seen clips of Billions. It's on a streaming service I don't have. So I hopefully will watch it at some point because it does look good. And yeah, it does look, it's about a finance. Basically white collar crime is basically what it's about. Billions is kind of in the name there. It's definitely a bunch of shady people, financial people doing extremely shady stuff. And the FBI is investigating them is what I take away from it. It features Damian Lewis, who's a British actor. He was in Band of Brothers and he's been in a bunch of other things as well. Great actor. I do plan on watching it at some point, but I have not watched it yet.
Never seen it, never heard of it.
All right, wrapping up this episode with a hockey question from Andreas. What is your favorite name for the Salt Lake City / Utah franchise?
There's only one correct answer, and it's the Utah Mammoth.
The Mammoth would be good. I like Yeti, but Mammoth is definitely up there, especially if they go all in on the animal mammoth. I think you could definitely get a lot of cool designs out of that, and it's definitely in my top 2.
it just, if they even sniff around the idea of the Utah Hockey Club, this isn't Europe. This isn't this isn't footy. This isn't soccer.
No.
You can't be trying to take on the Euro kind of ethos with a hockey team in the West. No.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Mammoth, I've seen some like people make up designs for Mammoth logos, and they all look really sweet. I think you could have a lot of fun with that, mascot. So Mammoth or Yeti for me are my top two. So hopefully the voters get those. They fill the ballot box for those names, because I think either one would be a home run. Just because it's something so different compared to like Venom or something like that. That just sounds stupid.
Venom sounds like a Little League soccer team name.
Yeah.
The Yetis I'd be cool with too. The hockey club, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's just too. It's not NHL. It's not hockey.
It's not. No.
And what was the other one?
Blizzard was on there.
Blizzard again. That's like that's what they called like the soccer teams I grew up playing when I was like 8.
Yeah. Venom, Blizzard, Hockey Club, Yeti, Mammoth. There might have been one more, but I can't remember.
Oh, the Outlaws.
That one's not too bad. That's probably number 3. If
There's
I'm
no
ranking
Outlaws in Utah.
No, if you were down in like New Mexico or ironically Arizona.
Tombstone, Arizona.
Then it would work, but not for a team in Utah. I'm sorry.
And the PLL just has a team now that's just close to them in Denver, and they're PLL. They're called the Denver Outlaws. It's too close.
Haven't they been around forever though?
Yeah, they were. They were around forever, and they're kind of reborn again now. So
okay,
you can't do that one either.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up this week's mailbag. 12 questions. We will be back on Thursday with some kind of content. What it is exactly, I don't know. Maybe. We'll obviously talk a little bit of the final. We'll be 2 games in at that point. Getting ready for game 3. Maybe the Penguins will do something to shake things up. If not, we'll find some topics to talk about. But other than that, that's all I got. Snell, you got anything before we close this up, wrap this one up?
Nope. Other than I'm so excited we have hockey to watch again. It's hard transitioning to this time of year where you go a day or two without. It's not fun, man. I don't like it. I'm so used to games every night.
I agree. So, yeah, game 2 tonight. This episode, game 2 will already be done by the time you listen to this. As always, make sure you go listen to our interview with CJ Gamble. We thank him for his time as always. Go listen to that. Let us know what you think. So, as for Snail, I'm Robbie. We will talk to you guys later in the week.